Okay, in this video I want to talk about doctors, healthcare professionals of any sort. It doesn't have to be doctors. I don't see my doctor, I see a nurse practitioner, but I always say go to the doctor. So anyway, I want to talk about how they treat us. And I mentioned some of this in a video that I did. I just put it up today, but I actually took it probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. And about the doctors not seeming, the healthcare professionals, I'm going to say doctors to make it, short, but they don't remember me from one time to the next. And I don't think I'm alone. I really don't think I'm alone in this. And the reason why I don't think I'm alone, for one of them, is I worked for some healthcare professionals, different kinds, surgeons and stuff. And since I worked in the office, often I would have to schedule appointments, Anyway, one of them actually owned up to me that he was a surgeon. He said he wouldn't even remember the patient that was there on the table, having the surgery. He wouldn't remember who they are. Now that is sad. Okay, that is awful too, and he knew it too. But the biggest problem was that they had too many. In order, they scheduled too many. When you have 15 minutes to see a patient, they schedule 15-minute blocks to see a patient. Yeah, that's not good. Because they don't see them for 15 minutes. I cannot remember. I haven't had many doctors that have seen me, or healthcare professionals at all. Doctors, actually. I want to say doctors. That would be in the room with me for more than, I'd say 5 minutes. But usually it was 2 minutes or less. It was always something they would say well, let me go see if we have any samples of that medication. And they would never come back. The nurse would, but not the doctor. And that was after just coming in there saying, how are you doing? Let me check your, chart real fast. And then that was it. Oh, you're on this medication? Let me check. Wow. That's not even a minute there. Okay, and believe me, since I don't have insurance, and I have to pay out of pocket, that really irritates me. But this one place I found, they're pretty good. They only see patients who don't have insurance, and they're pretty good. They'll take more time with you, okay? Because they are funded by some I don't know what it's called. I can't remember, but it's some kind of charity or something. So their money doesn't depend on insurance, okay, or any kind, of any kind. Okay, where was I? I had pause. I'll have a few, so if it breaks up, that's why. But anyway, I worked for years doing medical billing and collections for years, and I got out of that rat race. After a while, it was just too much competition, especially when they started downsizing, and then they would hire anybody just off the street and pay them less. And what they were doing was eventually getting it to where it was more of a production job. They were doing an outsourcing kind of thing within the United States. And anybody they'd pick to do it, because then they could have them do it their way, which was often the wrong way. Believe me, I've reported it before. Yeah, but I worked in medical, like I said, billing and that. Now, my thing is, I loved workers' comp. Workers' comp and Medicaid, Medicare. Medicaid was fun when I did it for out of state. I think it was New Mexico, I think. And there was no problem. They paid. They didn't play around with it and fight you and everything. But I learned, of course, how to fight them and win all these different kinds of insurance companies. So it was kind of a challenge for me. But because I sometimes worked in an actual office, the doctor's office or surgeon's office, I learned a lot about how that worked. And it was so much about money, not about the patient. It was always money. So that was bad. And of course you could say I would see it that way because, of course I would, because I was with the money, dealing with the money. But no, yeah, there's a lot more to it. And I'm not saying all doctors, all healthcare professionals, and I'm not saying all that, but some of the ones I worked, with, yeah, it's a shame. Okay, let me get on to this part. I've moved around a lot in my life, and I've had a lot of healthcare professionals, and one of them, more recent, that I had where I live now, she was my doctor for a long while, and then something came up back in 2012 when something happened. None of these healthcare professionals know. I mentioned this before, and basically she wouldn't see me because she said it could be workers' comp. No, that I don't think was the real reason. I really think that it was something she was afraid of. Okay, it was because my skin was coming off, like something was eating it up. Okay, in that situation, basically I had been to the hospital ER several times, and unbelievable. Now, when you have your skin is coming off, especially it started with my hands, the palms, the inside of my hands, and they say, just trust me. It lacked professionalism. And I went to see her. They told me to go see her, but she was next door in the office buildings. And she asked me why in the world I was there with something like that, and then she referred me to somebody else, and it just kept going after 21 healthcare professionals, believe me. And they couldn't figure it out. I finally figured it out 2.5 years later. I had become allergic to a medication I had been taking prior to that, all of it. Yeah, it's a long story. But the treatment, the way I was treated, well, the thing is, I eventually started to find another doctor. I wouldn't go back to her. And if that's how your doctor is going to be, you have something wrong with you and they don't want to see you because, yeah, that's just wrong. That car's about to hit that. So, yeah. Okay. Now, that doctor, what the importance of that doctor was that while I was there, I'd had a CT done in 4 years prior to that. CT, and they found a mass on one of my adrenal glands. And 4 years later, she had the test run again, and she found, they found it, the radiologist, I think it was, and they talked about it and said that it was too dangerous to operate, and basically I'm stuck with the problem. Now, and that was, the first time was the year 2000, and when I basically learned that no matter how, what endocrinologists told me, more than one, no matter how little or how much I eat, I'm always going to weigh around the same weight because of this problem. And they're not wrong. I had weighed the same from the time I was like probably 12 years old till then. Except for one time when I got bigger, and that was a different story. But yeah, about the same weight. Now I weigh a little bit less, okay, and have for years. So, okay, now the importance of all this is that every doctor, they don't want to hear that. They look at me and I'm overweight. I'm not obese. I'm overweight. But they look at me and they make assumptions right off the bat. Is that I eat wrong, okay, that I'm not eating right. And no, it's not that. And believe me, I've had a dietitian one time, she actually ran it and told her staff to go get me food because I'm not eating enough. I wasn't eating enough. And she was right, I wasn't. But anyway, so all these doctors, they make assumptions. And if you try, if I tried, all these healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, whatever I would see, they would make that assumption and then they would get it into their head that my problem was overeating, and they wouldn't hear anything else, as if they were not about to be told they were wrong with their assumption. They weren't going to go there. So it must be that I'm eating wrong. Okay? And I would, everyone since even these, I've said, fill out the paperwork, fill out the forms for them to get my the information from those 2 CTs so they can see it. They would not do it. They would refuse, and their staff, over and over, I would tell them, each time and every time I would go to the doctor, see the doctor or anybody in there, I would say the same thing over and over again. I keep filling this form out, but nothing's happening. Okay, and they'd look through the chart and they say, no, we don't have it. Still, they wouldn't do anything. And I truly believe it's because they want to believe what the assumption they made from the start. Okay, and yeah, there's a big question about why don't I have that information myself. Let's not go in through all that. It might take a while. But yeah, I'm curious if other people, they say this. The doctors, they are healthcare professionals. They really get angry. And I've actually corrected one not too long ago. I don't go to that one anymore. And said, no, that's not true. And it wasn't. It was... I'm 100% certain she was wrong. I mean, there was no doubt about it. Oh my goodness, it was awful. It was an awful experience. And of course I would never return there, and I stated that I would never return there. And of course they had their big corporate office in me, and something saying that they will no longer see me. Okay, I was the one telling them I will no longer see them. Trust me, that wasn't even the beginning of it. It was awful experience. But a lot of it is that I've seen is that it's like a little bit of a threat is also there, and I really, there should not be that feeling at any doctor, any healthcare professional, that you feel a little bit of a threat if you don't go along with their misconceptions, their misdiagnoses and things like that. And if you dare to point it out, you're wrong. And I'm not a mean person, like that, but then I don't even say it in that voice. But no, when they're wrong, and, big threat, and it is, they're wrong. Anyway, I'm going to, do more on this, but, in another day.